Alright, hello everyone. This is Prism and I'm gonna have a brief overview of a commander deck. Now, as I've said before in the podcast, commander decks are 100 cards, with the 100th being your commander, and your deck has to be composed of both all the colors that your commander is. For instance, as you can see on the screen, my commander in this deck is Niv Mizzet. He's blue and red, therefore all cards in my deck have to be blue and red. Even if I had other lands, say I had a forest in this deck, and I tried to tap it, that would come out colorless, because you can only tap mana of the commander's colors. Now I want to go through a brief overview of the deck to show you exactly how much the strategy works. Just as an example, so you can make a similar strategy. Now, Niv Mizzet's ability is what the deck centers around. His ability is, whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet the Firemind deals 1 damage to target creature or player. He can also tap to draw a card. Now, obviously that should mean there are lots of draw cards. Now, the only problem is you can only have one of each card in this, because it's not just 100 cards, it's 100 card singleton. So, what I try to do is I try to get lots of stuff from old decks, whether it's Brilliant Plan from Masters Edition 3, or Brain Geyser from the promotional. Because this is basically played as classic, you can use almost any card. Now let's go through the deck to look at some of the cards I use. First card that you see is Brain Geyser. Very good card, especially when Niv Mizzet is out and you have lots of mana late in the game. That's a real extra punch, plus drawing cards. Myojin of Seeing Winds. Another great card, simply because it's indestructible when you play it, and the divinity counter, once you pop it, you get a ridiculous amount of cards, because obviously you have to have at least 10 mana, and then all those will come out as attack. Volition Reigns, great card, basically a mind controlled by for any permanent. Sphinx of Magosi, good powerhouse for blue. Royal Elemental, great control card, mind control, basic control card. Capture of Jing Zhao, it's basically a turn skip like Time Warp, but it's from Masters Edition 3. Brilliant Plan, Rite of Replication. Rewind is like a counter spell, but it untaps all the lands you used to pay for it once you're done with it, so it pays for itself, which is cool. Mind Break Trap. It's great for multiplayer, especially when a bunch of people are casting cards that they might be able to use later. So if an opponent casts 3 or more, you just want to pay 4, it costs 0, and you can exile any number of target spells. So if there are 8 spells on the stack and you play that, all of them can be exiled. Jace the Mind Sculptor speaks for itself. Dissipation Field. It's a very good distractor. You don't want to be the target of attention in Commander, so this wards them away. 4C draws cards and scries. Sirikar Spellblade, great for when you can draw cards with it, so it helps. Let's scroll down. Stoic Rebuttal. Basically, it's another type of cancel, but can be cost as much as Counterspell. Jace Bellerin, best draw cards thing for 3 you'll ever find. The regular cancel, Mistblade Shinobi. Great card, can be swapped in and force a creature to be put in the other's hand. Archmage Ascension also goes along with the drawing cards theme. And if you get enough, every time you draw a card, you'll tutor instead. Twin Cast copies target spell. Redirect redirects a target spell. Dance of the Many. Basically, it's like Rite of Replication, but it costs 2 every turn. Squelch. This card I'm very fond of because it counters an activated ability. This could be anything from a Nev Disc to just Mind Slayer to Isochron Scepter. Basically, any card that uses ability, especially sack abilities, you can cancel them out and nothing will happen for a turn, and they'll waste the mana. Mana Leak speaks for itself. Hisoka's Guard I'm very fond of in decks that have a blue commander, or something like blue-green, blue-red, something like that, because it basically puts Shroud on a target. Very useful. Now we go into the splash portion of the deck. It's a little big than the average splash, but red is is a necessity. My first card that I'll show you is Winds of Change. Basically, it's a good way to reshuffle your deck, like if in the middle of a game if you need new cards, and if Niv Mizzet is out, you get a bunch of 1 damages. Reverberate, the red copy of Twin Cast, very useful. Rack and Ruin, destroys 2 target artifacts, good. Obsidian Fireheart. This card I've actually been considering taking out of the deck. It's very rare you get to use it, but it is great because the blaze counters stay on even if Obsidian Fireheart is destroyed. So that's little damage every turn. Hoarding Dragon, great for pulling out one of my artifacts later. Goto Bandit Warlord, also great. It's a powerhouse card that brings out one of my strong artifact equips. Inferno Titan, great card in general. As you can see, I put a lot of the powerhouse beefy cards in red. Balances, so you have defenders and attackers. Mordant Dragon, a very good card, also basically fits with the red beefy cards. Ancient Hellkite, another great card. And at the very top we have Fireball. Pretty standard for a red deck. Now comes the interesting cards, because a blue-red, you don't find many cards that are like that. Obviously the first card is Niv Mizzet, which in this case is promo, because now it's nice and shiny. After that, we have Double Negative. This card you almost never see played because blue and red normally don't meet, but very useful, especially in multiplayer when multiple cards are being cast. Invoke the Firemind. Speaks for itself, can draw cards that do damage, or if you have Niv Mizzet out, can do both. Sphinx Bone Wand. Very useful card, especially when you're playing lots of instants that draw cards, so very good for dominating the field. Platinum Angel speaks for itself. Eternity Vessel, great card if you're on the defensive and you have mana in your hand, or just because you can play it. Argentum Armor, great equip card. Very hard to use. When you get it out, it's kind of cool. Menser's Journal, that I'm probably taking out. It's not really that useful currently. Get over there. Razor Main Masticore, great card because if you're drawing cards, you'll have extra, so it's not that hard to discard. Relatively good card. Memory Jar. Draw 7 cards instantly, so great for Niv Mizzet. Makes everyone else technically discard 7 unless they have instants. Tawnos Coffin. Basically, it's a reusable Journey to Nowhere all the time, except for it takes all of the auras, counters, and everything with it and spits them back out the way they were. So it's actually good for saving your own card if it's about to be destroyed. Nev Disc, basically a board wipe. Masticore. Regular Masticore, same reason that I like Razormane. Grinning Totem. Steals a random card from the other person's deck that you can play for 1 turn. Font of Mythos, draws 2 cards, speaks for itself with the format. Temple Bell, each player draws a card. Sword of Vengeance, Sword of Body and Mind, Strata Scythe, all good cards. More artifacts, or is that it? There's a bunch more. Isochron Scepter, very useful card, especially if you have Reverberate in your hand, or Twin Cast, very good so you can copy cards throughout the rest of the game. Sun Droplet, great defensive card, probably one of the most annoying though because it keeps popping up a new screen every upkeep, so I would definitely put that on auto, okay. Aether Vial, very good card, great if you get it at the beginning, okay if you get it at the middle. Spellbook, now I've got a lot of interesting things about Spellbook simply because it's like Reliquary Tower but not really. It's great because you only have, because I have both Reliquary Tower and Spellbook in the deck, which means that's 2 cards out of 99 that you can draw. It's around a little over 4% that you'll get in the first turn. You want to get them out as early as possible, especially if you're using a drawing deck. Now, that's pretty much this commander deck. This is one of my favorites, one I've been working on for a bit now. I'm very fond of it. Not saying this shouldn't be the base, that you shouldn't base your deck around 1 card. I've seen decks that have multiple ideas and strategies, but it's best for beginners to start out with 1 idea and build your whole deck around it. There are times where this can backfire, specifically if someone plays something like Ubamask, for in this case, will ruin my deck, because it won't let me draw cards, therefore Niv Mizzet's power will never work. So don't be frustrated if every once in a while you see something that just completely destroys your deck strategy. It happens. Remember, it's Commander. You'll see 90% of the cards you've probably never seen before, especially if you play it Standard. It's a lot of fun. You see new things, new strategies, great combos all the time. I really am fond of this format. I think you all should be too. Alright, and this is First Prisms edition of Commander Building format deck. Yes. See ya.